Trump flew to Beijing. He shook hands with Xi. He called it historic. 4 days later, Xi called Putin. Putin flew to Beijing, and together they signed a document that Trump never saw coming. A document that did not make headlines. A document that changed everything. This is the harsh truth. Trump sat across from Xi Jinping at the Zhongnan High Leadership Compound in Beijing. The White House called it a historic summit. China agreed to buy $17 billion of American agricultural products per year, 200 Boeing aircraft, a framework for tariff reductions. Trump flew home and called it fantastic. But here is what the cameras did not show you. As Trump's Air Force One lifted off from Beijing, Xi Jinping picked up the phone. He was calling Vladimir Putin. 4 days after Trump left, Putin arrived. May 19, May 20. 2 full days of talks. At the same great hall of the people. At the same table. Putin brought 25 visits to China. This was his 25th trip. Not once did he come away empty-handed. This time, they signed 40 documents. Energy pipelines. Military cooperation. Trade agreements. A treaty extension. But the document that matters is not on that list. Because it is not a trade deal. It is not an energy agreement. It is a declaration. A 47-page declaration titled, Advocating a Multipolar World and New Types of International Relations. In plain language, the American era is over. And we are building what comes next. The document calls for a world where no single nation sets the rules, where the United States cannot impose sanctions, cannot dictate trade, cannot threaten military action to enforce its will. Xi said China and Russia would work together to reform global governance. Putin called it a fairer and more democratic world order. And here is the part the mainstream media buried completely. The Kremlin aide who described this document called it programmatic. That word means one thing. This is not a press release. This is a blueprint. A blueprint for a world that runs without America at the center. Now look at the timing. Trump visits Beijing, leaves with soybeans and Boeing jets. No agreement on Taiwan. No agreement on Ukraine. No agreement on Iran. Xi smiles. Trump flies home. Then Putin arrives. Putin publicly reaffirms Russia's support for China on Taiwan. Xi publicly calls the United States a unilateral hegemon running rampant. Both men sign a treaty originally written in 2001 and extended indefinitely. Both men agree that China's bilateral trade with Russia reached $228 billion in 2025. Think about what that means. Trump came to Beijing asking for a deal. Xi gave him soybeans. Then gave Putin a declaration of war against the world order Trump leads, on the same table, in the same room, within the same week. This is not a surprise. In February 2022, 4 days before Russia invaded Ukraine, Putin and Xi met in Beijing. They announced a partnership with no limits. That was the warning. Almost no one heard it. This declaration is the next warning. The Iran war is giving China more leverage over Middle East energy. The Ukraine war is making Russia more dependent on Beijing. The fracturing of NATO is giving both men room to operate, and the United States, under Trump, is pulling back from the alliances that kept this balance in place for 80 years. Xi and Putin are not reacting to American power. They are filling the space American power is leaving behind. Trump called his Beijing summit fantastic. Xi called the Putin summit a new milestone. One of them is right. This is the harsh truth.